Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I want to talk about tech fraud in the US government and society because unfortunately it's ramping up, and also unfortunately the US government is actually stepping back and prosecuting less. Now, here's what's going on, and this is a perfect example of what is actually going on in the US government. Now, in April 2019, the Naval Special Warfare Command solicited bids to buy 450 VHF and UHF antennas for use by members of the Navy SEALs. Obviously, the Navy SEALs are one of the elite special forces units within the US military. Now, the request required that these body-worn antennas come from New York-based manufacturer Mastodon Design, and that the supplier qualify for as a small business. The U.S. government has a lot of set-asides for small businesses so that small businesses can be competitive on U.S. government contracts, and here we are. Now, the government used to purchase directly from Mastodon these antennas because obviously they're built to U.S. military specifications. However, Mastodon basically was sold to a larger multinational defense contractor, and so it was at one point a small business, and now the U.S. government is required to go through one of the partners or distributors for Mastodon antennas. On May 1st, the sales team at Mastodon, interestingly enough, got an email from the procurement department of a California company called Visocom. Now, Visocom said that the company was bidding on this Navy contract for the antennas for the SEALs and wanted to know how much 450 Mastodon antennas would cost. So Mastodon quoted them a price for sale to Visocom at $165,000 and change. Visocom then submitted its bid to the Navy for the exact same amount. Obviously, that's a bit of a red flag. Now, a source with direct knowledge of this situation told Quartz, where I'm pulling this information, QZ.com, that it was highly unusual that Visocom obviously wouldn't want to make money on this deal. And so at this price, basically, the Navy said, well, that's the best price there. So the Navy awarded Visocom this contract. Visocom, however, didn't actually place the order with Mastodon. Instead, what it did was import low-cost antennas from China and pass them off as Mastodon antennas using fake serial numbers, spec sheets, etc., etc. Now, the reason why we know this is the US government executed a search warrant against Visocom, and here we are. The Navy, interestingly enough, figured out that something was wrong when it distributed the antennas to the SEALs, who would then start using them in the field, and the SEALs were saying that these differed physically from the existing Mastodon antennas that they had been using, and they were of poorer quality, meaning they are not keeping up with the harsh demands of the Navy SEAL battlefield regimen here, and so here we are. Investigators eventually discovered a purchase order issued to Alpha Antenna by Visocom that requested testing, packaging, and shipping to the Navy of 450 antennas for just $12,000. Alpha seemed to be an unwitting participant in this because obviously Visocom is basically ordering these antennas. So in order to make $150,000 of profit, they bought cheap Chinese knockoffs of 450 antennas for $12,000. No wonder they didn't keep up. Now, with that, the attorney that oversees the contractor misconduct database at the Project on Government Oversight is a man named Neil Gordon, and he said, and I quote, "The use of these so-called middlemen who don't manufacture anything, they just order it from somebody else that doesn't manufacture it, can be a problem. The longer the supply chain, the more difficult it is to keep watch over it." Now, the issue, according to Gordon, is that the U.S. government has prosecuted fewer of these types of cases under the current administration. So the last couple of years, we've had this issue. Now, the Attorney General, William Barr, has basically called the False Claims Act. This would be the act that allows the U.S. military to go after these contractors that are basically ripping them off. William Barr has been quoted as calling this an abomination. Now, I am not getting political here. I don't care if you love or hate the administration. I'm simply giving you the facts on the ground. Unfortunately, counterfeit goods are rampant throughout the U.S. military, and they've had a real problem basically figuring out and prosecuting all of these individuals. And it's also affecting the civilian population as well. We can go on places like Amazon or other sites and we can buy iPhones we think are real that are actually Android knockoffs. Some are spectacularly real. I actually posted a picture, I want to say about 6 months to a year ago, and said which one of these is the real iPhone and which one is the fake. And there were a lot of people that did not get that answer correct. Beats headphones, for example, for the civilian population. Cosmetics is a massive problem because as people are applying cosmetic to their faces and skin, these fake cosmetics are not doing as intended and possibly harming humans as well. And even fake watches and Rolexes and all this kind of stuff that have been pervasive. You could go to Times Square and get a Rolex for $20 back in the day. Those are still online, and it is becoming more and more pervasive. Obviously, when it comes to the U.S. military, if they are ordering this equipment to spec to ensure the safety and security of troops, these corporations, or these distributors rather, that are passing off the fake Mastodon antennas of the world could possibly be getting humans or U.S. military personnel killed on the battlefield when the equipment malfunctions or fails to perform as specified. So my question today is, how do we actually combat this? We have this rampant problem, and we have open platforms like Amazon or eBay or any one of these on the civilian side where I literally could just start importing fake stuff from China, put up an Amazon account and start selling it. It's been rampant on the cosmetic side and other counterfeit products. That's a very serious issue. Amazon has been, I would say, reticent from everything that I understand to really kill these things off because it is massive money making for them. And as they find them, and as the cosmetic industries and Apple, etc., complains to Amazon, they have been slow to react, according to all of the reports that I have read on this, not to mention documentaries I've seen and everything else. So I'm curious to know, is this a new law? Does this simply mean, does this simply mean that the Justice Department has to enforce this at a much greater level than they are right now? Because if they are scaling back the prosecutions for equipment that is basically counterfeit that could get military troops killed, that is a very serious problem. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to know what you think the best result of this would be, or the best, most effective method, rather, to combating this would be. Is it simply jail time? Is it simply a deeper vetting process? Is it simply verification of goods before purchasing? I think there's a lot of things that we can do here that we're simply not. And so I leave it up to you. Let me know what you think. You've heard my thoughts, and that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.